here. These kind of things happen, too, after so-called one-off comment. Fox News has learned, and now we're getting good confirmation, that a Russian warship has indeed entered the eastern Mediterranean and is headed toward two U.S. Navy destroyers, including those that launched airstrikes last night into Syria. Former State Department official Paul Bonicelli, former Navy SEAL Michael Zapata. Gentlemen, welcome to both of you. Michael, begin with you. What do you make of that and the early Russian response?
Well, thanks, Neil, for having me. I would say that, former Navy SEAL, now a value investor here in New York, so I appreciate it. When you see the ships posturing in the Mediterranean, I don't think it's a surprise. They were expected to posture. There are contingency efforts on our behalf to counter those, and now it's going to be a continuation of that over the next couple of weeks, and it'll be interesting to see what the impacts on the market and our specific investments will be.
I'm looking at it, too, Paul. I'm wondering what the Russians do now, because obviously they had hoped, and if you believe all the press, they had hoped they would have a friendlier, easier time with Donald Trump. Now things are off to a kind of a tense footing. Where do you see this going? And obviously each side wants to sort of get and take maximum advantage of whatever PR they can with something like this. What do they do?
I think they act very carefully. I do agree with the reports that this is a surprise. I think Donald Trump's comments made some people think he wouldn't do things like this, and then the people around him, the Congress, etc. Now it's very clear that he is who he's always been, which is a guy who takes charge. He takes action to work his will. The Russians, just under Stalin, under Brezhnev, under Khrushchev, under everybody, the last thing they want is a war with the United States, and they can't win it. Putin is the weakest that there's ever been, almost, since after their revolution. So I think he's going to be very careful to know in back channels, what are you going to do? What are we allowed to do that will not upset the apple cart? And I think they're going to lay low. That frigate was already on its way anyway. They're constantly resupplying Tartus, their port there in Syria.
All right, so where are we going with all of this now? Is it your impression that, at least at this stage, Michael, maybe you can get a sense of it, that to all of your kind of analysis here, that rarely do things end off in a one-off. If you're Assad, you have to get clearance for anything from Vladimir Putin, right? So everything is going to be directed toward Vladimir Putin.
Absolutely, and Putin's he's proven himself a master. Maybe it was just more so of the previous administration, but he's controlling that very heavily. There's an Iranian influence that is controlling Assad, and Assad is going to depend on them for support going forward. So I think it's important to see the posturing, see what they're going to do, but it's also important to point out that President Trump is being tested right now, and Putin knows to be able to test him out and see what's going to happen and see the reaction. So it's important that we establish credibility. It's a good move, and to be honest with you, I think it should have been done 4 years ago with the original red line.
All right, gentlemen, I want to thank you both.